The morning began with a brightness that didn't match the heaviness inside 12-year-old Maren Hale's chest. The sun climbed quietly over the small neighborhood where she and her father, Rowan Hale, lived in a weathered rental house at the edge of the fields. It should have been an ordinary school day, the day of her final exam, the one that determined whether she would qualify for the prestigious scholarship her father could only dream of affording. But life rarely aligned with plans, and Maren's fate began shifting the moment she saw the luxury car smashed against a ditch on the roadside, smoke curling into the daylight as if calling for her. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small actions, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindly Tube to support more heartfelt stories like this. Rowan had left early for his shift at the construction site, promising he would return in time to hear how the exam went. He'd worked himself raw for years, carrying the weight of raising Maren alone after her mother left when she was barely 5. Every dream he still held lived through her. She had always tried to repay him with good grades, responsibility, and kindness. But that morning, as she walked to school, backpack bouncing lightly behind her, she heard a dull thud, followed by the screech of twisting metal. The sound tore through the quiet road. She froze. Then she ran and the car door was jammed, the tinted window cracked like a spiderweb. Inside, a woman in her mid-40s slumped forward, blood trickling from her forehead, her crisp white blazer smeared with dust. Maren had no idea who she was, but the panic rising in her chest didn't allow room for hesitation. She pulled at the handle, yelled for help even though no one was around, and finally managed to wedge the door open with a fallen branch. The woman's eyes fluttered weakly, confusion mixed with pain. The hours that followed felt unreal to Maren. She called emergency services, used the basic first aid training she'd learned in school to keep the woman conscious, and stayed by her side until an ambulance arrived. Her clothes became streaked with dirt, her hands trembled, and her backpack lay abandoned in the grass. When the paramedics took over, time caught up with her in a single, horrifying realization: her exam had already begun. There was no way she could make IT.AT school. Her teachers listened but shook their heads apologetically. Rules were rules. The exam was locked. No makeup test allowed. Her scholarship application was automatically disqualified. The finality of it crushed her, but she didn't cry, not until she got home and saw her father's proud smile fade as she explained everything. Rowan's heart broke twice, once for the lost opportunity, and again because despite everything, he felt nothing but pride in her. He hugged her tightly, promising they would find another way, even though he had no idea how the next few days crept by with quiet disappointment. Maren forced herself to appear strong, but the reality of the lost scholarship spiraled into Rowan's mind like a weight he couldn't shake. Bills had been piling up already, and this scholarship had been their sliver of light. Yet every time he looked at her, he reminded himself that no exam, no system, could diminish what she had done. Saving someone's life mattered more than any score. Still, life didn't bend for good intentions, and the financial gap widened painfully. 2 towns away, the woman Maren rescued, Seraphine Arlette, the CEO of a powerful tech development firm, opened her eyes in the hospital with a fractured memory of what had happened. She recalled the crash, the pressure in her chest, the fear, and a small girl's hands holding hers. Her staff filled in the missing pieces, explaining that a young girl had risked her own time, even missing a critical school exam, to save her. Seraphine was a woman known for her steel-cold composure and demanding nature, someone who rarely allowed emotion to breach her business-hardened exterior. But this news cracked something inside her. Seraphine had spent years in boardrooms, surrounded by people who helped her because they were paid to. The idea that someone, especially a child, had done something so brave and selfless for a stranger shook her to the core. She asked for the girl's name. But no one knew it. The paramedics hadn't taken it. The school hadn't been contacted. The girl simply disappeared after ensuring Seraphine was safe. Days later, when Seraphine was discharged, she felt a pull toward gratitude she couldn't explain. She owed her life to someone who had walked away without leaving even a clue. And Seraphine Arlette was not someone who left debts unpaid. She dispatched her team to investigate the crash site again, searching for anything, even a school bag tag or scrap of paper. And there, stuck beneath the tall grass near the ditch, they found a small laminated card: Maren Hale, Windbrook Middle School. That was all she needed. Back at the Hale household, life had slipped into an unsettling routine. Rowan worked late, stretching himself thin. Maren pretended everything was fine, burying her disappointment deep where she hoped her father couldn't see it. They had no idea that across town, a CEO was preparing a gesture that would reshape their world. It was a bright Saturday morning, the kind that made their yard glow with dew. Rowan was fixing the loose gate hinge while Marin fed their chickens scraps of vegetables. The quiet hum of the day suddenly broke with a distant rumble, growing sharper, louder, unlike anything they had ever heard so close. Marin shielded her eyes, squinting at the sky, confusion rippling through her. Rowan stepped outside, wiping his hands, scanning the horizon. Then a helicopter, sleek, black, polished like a mirror, descended toward their yard. The force of the wind pushed dry leaves swirling into the air. Chickens scattered. Rowan held Marin protectively as the helicopter touched down, its engines sending vibrations through the ground. The door slid open, and a woman stepped out, her presence instantly commanding attention despite the casual daylight setting. She wore a soft blue blouse, her wrist lightly bandaged, her posture regal yet unmistakably human in her vulnerability. Rowan and Marin stared, unsure whether to run, hide, or simply watch. Seraphine approached them with deliberate steps. Her eyes softened the moment they landed on Marin. She apologized for the abrupt entrance, explaining who she was, how she had survived because of Marin, and how long she'd been searching for her. Rowan listened, startled, unable to process how a powerful CEO had landed in their yard simply to thank his daughter, but Seraphine wasn't there merely to thank her. She revealed that she had learned about the missed exam, the scholarship, and how Marin's act of bravery had cost her something deeply valuable. In her chest flickered something unfamiliar yet warm, admiration mixed with responsibility. She assured them that people like Marin were rare, and that the world needed to reward such kindness, not penalize it. Seraphine offered to personally sponsor Marin's full education, including the academy she had hoped to attend, along with any resources she might need. It wasn't charity, Seraphine made that clear. It was gratitude and respect. For a moment, time froze. Rowan's breath caught in his throat. Marin's eyes widened with disbelief. They had no idea how to respond to something so immense, so unexpected. The tears that followed were quiet and uncontrolled, blending relief with overwhelming gratitude. Marin felt seen. Rowan felt hope for the first time in months, but Seraphine didn't stop there. She had plans to build a community program empowering young students who embodied compassion and leadership. She wanted to name the first scholarship after Marin. The girl who saved her would become the face of something far bigger, an example that kindness could reshape futures. Life began shifting gently, like dawn warming a cold night. Marin entered the academy months later, stepping into hallways she once believed were far beyond her reach. Rowan received a stable position within one of Seraphine's community projects, ensuring he no longer had to juggle 3 different part-time jobs to make ends meet. Their home, once shadowed by uncertainty, now buzzed with purpose and security. Through it all, Marin remained herself, soft-hearted, humble, and quietly driven. She often visited Seraphine, not because she owed her anything, but because they had become something akin to family, 2 lives intertwined by a moment of fate and courage. And years later, whenever Rowan watched his daughter's achievements unfold under the warm, steady glow of daylight, he would remember the roar of the helicopter blades, the sight of that powerful woman stepping onto their fragile lawn, and the truth that sometimes life doesn't reward you where you expect, it rewards you where you need. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindly Tube to help spread kindness across the world. Your engagement keeps these stories alive. A special request: comment "Kindness changes destinies" if you reached this part of the story.